I grew up in the mountains. I constantly was playing outside, hiking, fishing, snowboarding, you name it. I had family that had served, and I'd always really respected it. I just figured it was never really for me. And then I started seeing some of the opportunities I could have with it and seeing some of the things I could do, and was like, hey, we'll give it a shot. And a couple years later, here I am. So it was early 2018, we deployed to Poland. We were there in support of a NATO mission called Atlantic Resolve. Where I specifically got hurt was on a week-long rotation to Slovakia, a little town called Lech. And come the second morning after our training exercise, we were all asleep and we awoke to a parking brake failure, which would normally be remedied with a simple, oh, just step on the brakes. And we all woke up and started yelling at the driver like, hey man, that's not funny, put the brakes on, we're tired. He's like, hey, that's not me. Down the hill, and it got to a point that there was nothing else we could do, so we just held on and trying not to get thrown any more than we already were. We took a couple smaller jumps and then crashed into an embankment on the other side, which caused the turret on top to slide off. My gunner was sitting in the tank commander spot, and she got thrown down to her seat when we hit, and I got thrown straight across. And when that happened, my leg got caught up into the gearing between where the spinning turret sits and the driving part of the tank is. There wasn't this sense of panic for a while. The adrenaline hits and you don't notice what's going on, and so I see my gunner with a big thigh cut, and I'm freaking out like, okay, that's femoral artery, we gotta get a tourniquet on her. And I knew the leg was broken immediately. I couldn't see it. I just knew, God, it hurts, it's broken, but I'm okay. I'm still in one piece, I thought. And so I kind of pushed and pulled, and I felt a bit of a tear and was like, okay, good, I'm free now. And I turned to get my other leg around to push off and get completely free. And that's when I thought I just dislodged it. And that's when I saw that, oh, never mind, I just took the rest of it off with it. It's one of those things that nobody else knows we're down here. It's if I don't help myself and help my crew, no one is going to. So either I step it up or we all die. It's kind of one of those driving factors. So immediately what I was trying to do was hop out and get to the tourniquets and the med kits. It's like, okay, we're both severely bleeding. We need to get some help right now. And couldn't quite get there. I managed to get down through a hole that when the turret had slid off, I managed to hop out there and hop back towards the back of the tank where I could grab the tourniquets, and I got about halfway there before I started to get too woozy from the blood loss. And so I just sat down and started running shock procedures on myself then, and I used a belt tourniquet and held that in place while I told them what was going on. I told the gunner that I couldn't get to the actual tourniquets and the med kits and we needed a radio for help. And by that point she had kind of freed herself. She had dislocated one of her legs pretty severely and broken it as well. And she crawled out to check on me to make sure my tourniquet was good. And she had radios, nothing worked. And then luckily we just heard my phone go off, and it was our friends looking for us like, hey, where are you guys? That's not funny. And I was the only phone that had service and that hadn't been broken in the crash. And she managed to crawl back up inside the tank and get the phone, and then threw it over to me, and I unlocked it and sent a few texts out to tell them where we were, dropped them a pin in our location, and they came and found us. Besides the immediate amputation, I broke my ankle on my left side, I broke my pelvis in about 5 spots, and I broke my shoulder. It was so much adrenaline that, I mean, if you've ever broken a bone, and that's what the leg felt like, or really severely twisted something. Like, it hurt. I knew I'd done something wrong, but it didn't really hit until the adrenaline started to wear off. And that was when, you know, they came down to finally work on us, and they were sticking real tourniquets on there, not my quick 5-second belt tourniquet. That was when I was told, like, you know, everyone experiences like a 10 of pain in their life. That was the 10. I spent, I want to say about 3 days in the hospital in Slovakia. I spent about another 3 in Landstuhl, and then about 4 hours in Walter Reed, and then I got shot down to the ICU down here. And I spent about a month and a half there between ICU and the orthopedic wing, and doing a bunch of other surgeries to do what they could to cover it up and clean it up and do what they could to kind of make the best of a bad situation with the leg. I started at the CFI probably December of last year. I finally got released from inpatient care, and I've been at it pretty hard ever since. I've had a few minor surgeries. I'm about to have one in a couple more weeks, just to slowly work towards getting a permanent prosthetic on. It's great now. I've got a shoulder issue still, but I'm sure it's just because I'm walking around the crutches too much. But, you know, despite everything else, I got thrown across a tank at 90 miles an hour, and all I have is this, and things could be much worse. Things could be way worse. Some people take it the other way, whereas, you know, most of my crew, we were just so lucky to come out of that the way we did. We're just grateful every single day now that we've got. It's a tough one. I mean, coming back from anything like that it's so easy to want to give up and say, you know, my life's never going to be the same, and you're not wrong. It will never be the same. People will treat you different day in and day out, and your life will completely take a 180, but it's not a bad thing. This was kind of almost like my second chance at life. This let me just completely reinvent myself as a human being. really an amazing opportunity. So if you approach it from that angle and don't let it be something to hinder you and just build up off of it, you know, it's the best opportunity it's the best opportunity I've ever had. It's the greatest thing that's ever happened to me. I want to go to school. That was the main goal I had before this, and still my goal leaving here is now I have a way to pay for it too. So go to school, make a little bit of a career for myself, find something I love doing. For example, one of the new jobs I'm looking for now is to be a prosthetist. I want to work on prosthetics and build things for other people to help them get the mobility that I'm getting. And so whatever I can do to help somebody else that's struggling with that would be like the dream for me, to see somebody else is happy with me with this.